Well, he started off the year as a clear favorite to become the next Prime Minister of Canada. Things didn't go that way. A year of ups and downs for Pierre Poilievre. Maybe more downs than ups. So let's go now to the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Pierre Poilievre is on the line. Mr. Poilievre, welcome back to the program.
Good morning and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. I want to get into a whole bunch of subjects here, so I'll get right to it. First thing, I want to talk about some news items of the week and of the day. I want to ask you actually to start off about a provincial scandal here in Quebec that may have federal implications. So Pablo Rodriguez, of course, resigned yesterday as the Quebec Liberal leader. When we look back at the timeline, there is reporting from a paper in Montreal, La Presse, that says that the scandal began on November 14th at the REM launch when a Liberal MNA, Marwa Risky, had a conversation with a federal Liberal MP from Laval, Faisal El-Khoury. Now, your party has been asking a lot of questions in the House of Commons, with no success, I should add, on getting answers to those questions. But what are the answers you're seeking on this Quebec provincial Liberal scandal? Why are you asking so many questions in Ottawa about it?
First of all, Pablo Rodriguez is a federal Liberal. He was part of the federal Liberal cabinet up until just months ago. Then we have all of his network is a federal Liberal network. The main leadership campaign, now disgraced and scandal-plagued leadership campaign that is under criminal investigation, are federal Liberals. Finally, there are questions about what role Mr. El-Khoury, a federal Liberal MP in the Mark Carney caucus, played in this alleged scandal. So I'm asking Mark Carney and the federal Liberal Party to tell Quebecers the full extent of their involvement in the schemes that led to Mr. Rodriguez's election as leader of the Liberal Party of Quebec. We know the Liberal Party has a long history of scandals and corruption, whether it's the sponsorship scandal or the SNC-Lavalin scandal, or recent scandals around Mr. Carney's conflicts of interest, where his decisions clearly benefit his investments at the expense of working-class Canadians. We want a clean, ethical, accountable government. That's why we're asking these questions.
Are you aware of any more details than have become public, or is this more of a fishing expedition that you're on?
Neither. I am aware of what is public, and that what is public provokes a lot of questions. And I think that Mr. El-Khoury should come on your show, maybe for an hour, and answer your questions. His constituents in Laval probably are your listeners, would love to hear answers. And I think Mr. Carney should call him today and say, listen, the federal Liberal Party's got to stop covering things up, get on the show, answer the questions.
All right, I want to move on to something that you have been tweeting about and talking about this week. Of course, the horrific terrorist attack in Australia that saw Jews targeted on the first day of Hanukkah. I'm not the first one to draw parallels between Canada and Australia when it comes to anti-Semitism in recent years. Both countries have seen an incredible rise. We've seen attacks on synagogues, schools, other Jewish institutions in this city, including arson. Now, I'm fed up with it, I'm not Jewish, but I'm fed up with it. It's been over 2 years of relentless intimidation on the streets of Montreal. Now, tweets are very nice, and I see it from all types of politicians across the country, various political stripes. They tweet a lot. But what would you actually do differently if you had the chance to be prime minister when it comes to this issue?
Well, I would have had stronger vetting for immigration. Liberals have allowed people to come in without vetting. And in many cases, we have people who come here with criminal backgrounds, ties to terrorist organizations that don't actually get vetted out. Second, I would have established a foreign agent registry. We know a lot of these anti-Semitic hate fest protests are actually fomented by the government of Iran, which has foreign agents in Canada. The Liberals have been promising a foreign agent registry for 5 years, but they, for some reason, don't want to bring it in place. Third, I would bring in a new law that makes it a crime to promote terrorism. Terrorism is very clearly defined in the criminal code, but promoting it, including by waving Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, ISIS flags, is not currently a crime. I would make it a crime. Next, I would identify anyone who's visiting Canada and is participating in these hate-mongering events. Breaking laws would be deported from our country. And finally, I'd end the divisive identity woke politics that live
Oh, Mr. Poilievre, you're just breaking up there. I don't know if you can get to another spot there and just.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead and just pick up your last sentence there.
Yeah. Just finally, they keep giving grants to these so-called anti-racist groups. They're actually racist. Leif Maruth is a racist, an anti-Semitic, frankly, a hate monger, and he got a liberal grant to fight racism. I can't even repeat the things he said about Jews. So, look, we didn't have these kinds of rampaging anti-Semitic outbursts on our streets before this liberal government's radical immigration, criminal justice, and identity politics. And we need to stop in its tracks and restore a country where everybody feels safe. And we must lock our arms with our Jewish brothers and sisters so that they can feel safe in Canada again.
So it's interesting to hear you say that you'd even go to new laws on this front. Now, you are against removing the religious exemption for hate speech. The Bloc Québécois has been pushing for that. The Liberals all of a sudden on board with that. Why are you against removing the religious exemption for hate speech?
So let's be clear on what we're not talking about. It's already a crime under Section 319 of the Criminal Code to utter words calling for violence against an identifiable group, and there is no religious exemption for that today. So there is no religious exemption removed for that. What the Liberals are proposing to do is ban sections of the Jewish Torah, the Christian Bible, the Quran, and other religious texts that they consider to be hateful. And I think that's insane. And by the way, if you doubt that that's what they're doing, just go listen to Mark Miller, who said it. He said that rabbis who quote Leviticus and Deuteronomy should be charged because it says politically incorrect things. Do we really want police and prosecutors in our places of worship? And by the way, is the problem in our country really that? Like, of all the problems I hear, people can't afford groceries. They can't afford housing. They're broke at the end of the month. There's crime in their streets. The cars are getting stolen. Nobody's been saying to me that the problem in Canada is that a rabbi is quoting the 5 books of Moses or that a pastor is quoting the Bible. So enough with trying to crack down on religious freedom. Let's go after real criminals and real terrorists and restore safety to our country.
All right, I want to move things along here and talk about what's happened of late in your party. Maybe you heard it in our newscast. Michael Ma finally speaking about leaving your party and joining the Liberals. He says that at your Christmas party, he was still a conservative before the next day leaving your party. Do you believe him?
It's a miracle. He went to bed a conservative and woke up a Liberal. Wow. Actually, what happened is that he said that Mark Carney's deficit was out of control, irresponsible, and that it was driving up grocery prices through inflation for his own constituents. He said Mark Carney was too expensive and the Canadians were paying the price for him. He came to our Christmas party, didn't even buy his ticket. Then the next day he left. He's kind of like Mark Carney charges everyone else high taxes while he stashes his cash in a tax haven. I guess they'll make great Liberals together, not paying their way while charging everyone else. Look, the bottom line is that Canadians did not elect a costly Liberal majority. They rejected that. And Mark Carney should stop the backroom, shady, dirty deals designed to get him a costly majority that would inflate grocery and housing costs even more. If he wants a majority to raise taxes, double the deficit, and drive up the cost of living, then he should hold an election and ask Canadians for it.
And Mr. Poilievre, I get all that, but I think we do have to focus on the fact that, there's a bit of contradictions going on here, right? Like, your party is doing well in the polls. I look at the last poll, you're neck and neck with the Liberals, but your favorability ratings are not very good, right? It seems...
Did you check Main Street?
I mean, yes. What's the Main Street polling? Is it different? Because I see poll after poll where your favorite
has me leading. Me personally leading Mr. Carney. I just find it funny that we're selective quoting of polling. We're higher in the polls than we've been in 40 years. We got more votes under my leadership than under any party leader in the party's history, because I ran on a message of hope, affordability, community safety. That message is extremely popular. It was so popular that Mark Carney's had to pretend to agree with many of my ideas, even though he's not actually implementing them. And that has all happened under the leadership that I've provided. So, conservatives will decide if they want someone who's going to fight to restore the Canadian promise, where anyone who works hard gets a great life in a nice, affordable home, affordable food on a safe street. That's what I'm fighting for, and the leader that's going to do it. I know the Liberals are afraid of facing me, and that's why they're trying their best to distract. But the reality is that I'm the best leader to restore the promise of this country and win the next election.
So just the reason I have to ask that question is that, I saw you do an interview recently with TVA. You've done a lot of end-of-year interviews. And in that interview, you said you might be changing your approach. You wouldn't change your identity, right? You wouldn't change your true nature as a quote-unquote fighter. But you might be changing your approach. Now, why would you consider changing your approach unless there's something that may be putting people off?
So let's be clear what I said. I'm going to continue to be a fighter. But what I need to do is make sure people know what and who I'm fighting for. It's not just fighting for the sake of it. I'm fighting for the single mom who worries she can't pay her grocery bill, who feels anxious that her bank account is going to be empty before the grocery cart is empty. I'm fighting for the 35-year-old I met at a Laval gathering the other night, who said that his dad bought his house for $100,000 in the 90s, and now it costs $1 million for the similar house on the same street. He says, I'll never be able to move out of my home like this. Or the young lady who's still living with her parents, but can't save any money because her grocery prices are too expensive. I'm fighting for those people. So yes, I'm a fighter, and yes, it's not always pretty. And yes, sometimes I do get frustrated with the fact that politicians are ruining the promise that this country should make to every Canadian of an affordable and safe life. That's what I'm fighting for, and I'm going to make sure everybody knows it.
Mr. Poilievre, let's catch up again in 2026, hopefully when you're in town one time and in studio, okay?
Yes, and here's to a hopeful, and safe New Year for everybody.
And the same to you. Happy holidays, Mr. Poilievre. Merry Christmas. So we'll talk again soon, okay?
Christmas.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.